To start out, I'm just going to give myself some guidelines to get the correct perspective for this drawing and a basic shape for the head. A quick pause here. A really easy way to make sure you're getting the correct angle is to actually use your pencil. If you set your drawing up and match it to your reference, you can hold your pencil up to your reference drawing, align it with whatever line you're trying to get, and then just move the pencil to your page. Then you got the exact line at the exact angle you're looking for. Now that I've got that basic shape, I'm just going to follow those lines to get an initial outline for the head. Really focus on getting the correct proportions here. As you can see, my proportions were off, so I ended up erasing the body and using what's called a plumb line to help situate everything correctly. This vertical plumb line is a tool I can use to measure from to see where different features fall in relation to this line. Use the pencil trick to see what the angle of the body is moving downwards, and drop another plumb line from the edge of the head to see where you should start to curve the body or put the fins. Now we're going to move on to the first pectoral fin of this shark. For fins especially, I actually like to use the space around the shark to help me get the correct proportions. Take a look at the reference, we can see that the shark's body also creates a shape in the spaces around the shark. A lot of time these shapes are easier to draw than the actual fish. So by checking back and forth and observing the shape you're making in the space around the fish, it can help you get a more accurate drawing. For the dorsal fin, I find that looking at the space around the shark once again is super helpful in getting an accurate fin shape. If you're unsure of how big to draw the fin, draw a couple of very faint fin outlines at different sizes and pick the one that matches the reference best. Now we're going to get started on the rest of the body. Start by drawing a long straight line angling downwards. If you're unsure of the angle, use that pencil trick to help you out. You want to do the same thing for the belly, but give this line a subtle curve upwards. We're also going to add the rest of the fins. To find the placement for these, use those plumb lines to get an accurate placement. These fins are going to be triangular in shape, but make sure you look at the curve of each fin and include that in. Now it's time for the tail. Start by getting the correct angle that the top and bottom sections of the tail protrude outwards at. A helpful tip for this is to draw a straight line from the base of the tail to the tip on your reference. This will show you the angle of the tail and also give you a great measurement and how much the tail curves compared to the straight line. Draw a line vertically from the top to create a small rounded triangle, and then draw two long lines that grow closer together for the upper portion of the tail. Quick note, if you notice my drawing looks a bit different when I move on to shading, that is because I traced my original drawing onto a clean sheet of paper so that my drawing wasn't messy. To start off, I always tend to take my reference photo and turn it black and white. This takes out all the guessing on where any of the value will go in your drawing. Now that we've done that, you can start to add value. If you're going off of a reference here, this is as simple as trying to match the darkness and lightness of each section to what you're seeing in the reference. My biggest tip here is do not press super hard to get darker values. Always use layering to build up to the darkest values. When you press super hard, you actually will dent your paper and create a glossy film which will never come off, even if you erase it. To get the darker values, utilize different pencils that are naturally darker. Any pencil labeled with an H value will be very light, and anything labeled with a B value will be very dark. A good alternative if you don't have art pencils is just a mechanical pencil. These can get very light and dark values with minimal effort. Now that we have the initial base layer down, I'm going to use what's called a blending stump to smooth out what I've just drawn. If you don't have a blending stump, I'd recommend getting one, but some alternatives are Q-tips, paper towels, or even your finger. Use light pressure when blending so that you don't press the graphite too hard into the paper. Something to be aware of is that using a blending stump, especially one that has already been used before, will cause your dark values to become lighter and your lighter values to become darker. This is going to make everything a similar value. That is totally okay though. Just go back over the newly blended surface with your pencil again to redarken areas that need it, and since we press so lightly, you can erase areas that got too dark as well very easily. Another cool thing you could do with blending stumps is actually draw with them. When you've used them enough, a layer of graphite is built up on them and you can actually draw with it to get a nice smooth surface, as you see I do here on the tail and on the body a bit later. And genuinely, you now have all the tools you need to finish this shark. If you're using your reference photo to help with shading, continuously look back and forth between your reference and your drawing to make sure your values are matching up. That's my biggest piece of advice on this whole drawing, is make sure you look back at your reference constantly. Before you make any new marks, new shading, literally anything, look back at your reference to make sure what you're doing actually matches the reality of the picture. It is so easy to just assume you know what a fin looks like, or assume that's where the eye goes because you know what a shark looks like, or assume that the belly will be this dark or this light, when in reality, that's just not how it is, and you would have easily seen that if you just looked at your reference. That's how beginners especially get so off on their drawings, is that they don't take the time to actually look at what they're drawing carefully. They just assume. All those tiny assumptions lead to tiny mistakes, and by the end, your entire drawing is one big mistake. Look at your reference, take the time to make sure what you're doing is correct, use the tricks and tips you learned to help you out, then your drawing will automatically be better. So that's how you draw a hammerhead shark. Hopefully you've learned some valuable info that you can use in this drawing and in any other drawing you'd like to try out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and leaving a comment if you tried this out and it helped you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.